A German sniper near Sevastopol woke up every morning with a single thought. Not about the war. About her. His commanders had promised him a promotion, money, and a private audience with Hitler. If he found her first. He had been searching for her for 3 months. She hadn't been found. She found him. Her name was Lyudmila Pavlichenko. She was 25 years old. She was a student in the history department. And by the time Germany declared a manhunt for her, she had already killed more people than any active Wehrmacht sniper. But this isn't a story about numbers. It's a story about why the most dangerous person on the Eastern Front in 1942 had a woman's name, and about what happened when the Germans realized it. On June 22, 1941, Germany attacked the Soviet Union. The next day, Lyudmila Pavlichenko went to the military registration and enlistment office. An officer suggested she become a nurse. She showed him her Voroshilov sharpshooter badge, the highest Soviet marksmanship qualification, and said she could do something else. The officer looked at her. He looked at the badge. He enlisted her as a marksman. 2 days after her enlistment, she fired her first shot of the war. And she missed. Do you think the first shot is the hardest moment for a sniper? The hardest is the second. Because on the second shot, she no longer had an excuse for missing. She described that moment in her memoirs. I saw a person. A living person. I almost lowered my rifle. Then a German officer stood up and took out his binoculars. She pulled the trigger. He fell. She didn't lower her weapon for 2.5 years. Near Odessa in 1941, she operated under conditions that the German command considered impossible for sniper work. Constant bombing. Ruins. No stable positions. It was here that she developed what Soviet instructors would later call the Pavlichenko method. Don't move. Don't rush. Don't shoot until you're 100% sure. In 4 months near Odessa, 187 confirmed kills. 187 people in 4 months. That means every 16 hours. Someone in the German trenches ceased to be alive. At first, the German command thought it was the work of several people. They were right about one thing. A single person couldn't keep up that pace. But they were wrong about the reason. Near Sevastopol in 1942, she encountered an enemy of a completely different caliber. German snipers used the latest weapons. Zeiss optics. Precision mechanics. Perfect accuracy at 1,000 meters. Pavlichenko used a Mosin-Nagant rifle from 1891-30. The weapon was 50 years old. It had been developed during the reign of Tsar Alexander III. Wait a minute. The weapon that became the symbol of World War II's most prolific sniper was older than most of her targets. The Germans knew this, and they laughed at the Soviet museum pieces. Here's what they didn't understand. Accuracy isn't about the weapon. It's about the person. And the Mosin at 400 meters, in the right hands, was enough. She did 3 things that no one else in her sector did. First, patience. Soviet doctrine required 2 hours of immobility before firing. Pavlichenko sometimes lay there for 8. Without moving. She didn't eat. She didn't drink. She didn't change position. German snipers could fire several times a day. She fired once a day. Sometimes, once every 2 days. But she never missed twice in the same sector. Second, prioritizing targets. Most snipers targeted soldiers. She targeted officers. And enemy snipers. Killing an officer throws a company off balance for days. Killing an enemy sniper is a duel. How much do you think it cost the German army to train a single sniper? According to Wehrmacht records, about 2 years of training and resources roughly, equivalent to 3 infantry platoons. Pavlichenko eliminated 36 professional sniper hunters, each of whom knew her method, each of whom came to kill her first. Not a single one returned. Third, psychology. German snipers waited for the Soviet shooter to make a mistake. Pavlichenko made a mistake on purpose. She raised her helmet on a stick. A German sniper fired. She noted the sound and the flash. She waited 2 hours. And then she fired. That's not luck. That's hunting. In the summer of 1942, Sevastopol held out for 8 months. The Wehrmacht threw Manstein's 11th Army at it. By this time, Pavlichenko was known by name in German headquarters. The command made a decision to send in a special hunter. Not just any sniper. An ace. In Soviet documents, he is simply listed as the Berlin sniper. His name has still not been identified. He appeared in her sector and killed 2 Soviet soldiers in 2 days. Right in the area where she was working. It was a message. What would you do in her place? Change positions, logical. That's exactly what he was waiting for. If she leaves, he knows where to look for a new sector. If she stays, he knows where she is. She did the third option. She didn't leave. And she didn't show up. She simply waited for him first. What followed is described by Soviet military historians as one of the most well-documented sniper duels of World War II. 3 days. She lay motionless, waiting for movement, waiting for a mistake. The German was doing the same. On the second day, she spotted him, a tiny glint in the gully, the reflection of his scope. The distance was about 400 meters. She didn't fire. She waited another 6 hours. On the third day, he stirred. 1 shot. She walked over to his body and took his sniper logbook. It contained 500 entries. 500. That's more than the total tally of the most prolific American sniper in U.S. history. The German command sent a man after her, who had more confirmed kills to his name than she did, almost twice as many. And she found him first. And she continued her work. After her 4th wound, the Soviet command made a decision that she found difficult to accept. She was recalled from the front, not because she couldn't fight, but because a living Lyudmila Pavlichenko, training other snipers, was more valuable than a dead Pavlichenko in the trenches. She was sent to the United States, to the International Student Assembly in Washington. At the press conference, American journalists didn't ask her about the war. They asked if her military uniform was uncomfortable, if she wore lipstick at the front, if she wore silk underwear. Pavlichenko stepped up to the podium and said, "I am 25 years old. At the front, I have already managed to destroy 309 fascist invaders. Don't you think, gentlemen, that you have been hiding behind my back for too long?" The room fell silent. Then everyone stood up. The applause didn't stop for several minutes. The next morning, her photo appeared on the front pages of American newspapers. Eleanor Roosevelt personally accompanied her on a tour of the country. Woody Guthrie wrote a ballad about her. But here's the interesting thing. In the Soviet Union itself, she never became an official hero during her lifetime. No gold star of a hero. No parades. The Order of Lenin, twice. But not the recognition that would have corresponded to 3rd place among all snipers of World War II. Why? No one officially explained. She never returned to the front. She trained more than 2,000 Soviet snipers. After the war, She became a military historian. She wrote her memoirs. She lived until 1974. A May 1942 order from Manstein was found in German archives. It instructed that, in the event of any suspicious movement in her sector, officers were to be evacuated to cover immediately. A single sniper forced the army to change its protocol. The Germans believed until the very end that they were hunting an anomaly. In reality, behind Pavlichenko stood hundreds of trained Soviet snipers, operating under the same system. She simply had the highest tally. And she was the only one who made it to Washington. 309 confirmed kills. Third place among all snipers of World War II. Among men and women. A history major. With a weapon half a century old. In a war she didn't start,